Archaeology has always been a gateway to the past, unraveling lost civilizations and their lost, forgotten stories. But not everything they unearthed comes with a clear explanation. Some finds, like the pyramids or the Rosetta Stone, have been broadly studied, but others remain baffling, sparking endless debates and wild theories. Today, we're going to explore 15 archaeological discoveries that still remain a mystery, leaving the academic world and curious brains puzzled. Let's start off with number 15, the Tongue of Stone. In 1991, archaeologists excavating a Roman-era burial site in Northamptonshire made a grim discovery. Among 35 skeletons, one stood out, not just because he was buried face down, a sign of disgrace, but because something unnatural had been placed in his mouth. His tongue had been cut out and replaced with a flat stone. Even worse, the bone structure around his mouth showed signs of infection, meaning this wasn't a ritual done after death. This was something he suffered through while alive. The real mystery? There's no known record of this practice anywhere in Roman Britain or beyond. Was it a brutal punishment? A ritualistic offering? A desperate attempt to heal or silence him? Other graves from the era have swapped missing heads with stones or pots, but this is the only known case of a stone replacing a tongue. Whatever his crime or curse, this man was never meant to speak again, in life or death. Number 14, the Karakiz Lions. In 2001, a local from Karakiz, Turkey, tipped off archaeologists about a strange sight in an old quarry. When researchers arrived, they found a life-sized granite lion statue, except something was wrong. The statue had once been part of a pair, but looters had blown it apart with dynamite, searching for treasure. What remained was over 3,200 years old, dating back to the powerful Hittite Empire when Asiatic lions still roamed the region. Then, another lion statue was discovered nearby, carved by a different artist, yet similarly destroyed. Each statue originally weighed 5 tons, meaning whoever created them went through an extreme effort to carve and transport them. But why? One theory suggests they were part of a sacred water shrine, as the Hittites held springs in high religious regard. Yet, no known Hittite city nearby matches their age. Were they guardian statues? Markers of a lost temple? Until more is found, these stone lions keep their secrets. Number 13, the missing residents. Some civilizations collapse. Others are wiped out by war or natural disasters like fire, flood, or disease. But the Indus Valley civilization, well, they just disappeared without a trace. Thriving 4,500 years ago in what is now Pakistan and India, they built sprawling cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, with advanced urban planning, indoor plumbing, and a script we still can't read. Their society was so sophisticated it rivaled Mesopotamia and Egypt. Yet, around 1900 BC, they vanished. No evidence of a catastrophic war. No mass graves from a deadly plague. Just silence. Their once bustling trade hubs crumbled, and their cities were abandoned. Climate change? A shifting river? An invasion? Well, no single theory fully explains it. The weirdest part is that, unlike most civilizations, they had no kings, no great monuments, and no clear ruling class. How did a society this advanced just fade away? Until we crack their undeciphered script, the Indus Valley civilization remains one of history's greatest unsolved disappearances. Number 12, the Newton Stone. Scotland is full of ancient standing stones, but the Newton Stone is in a category of its own. Discovered in Aberdeenshire, it's a serpent-marked monolith covered in cryptic carvings. One side features the familiar Ogham script used by early Celtic cultures. But the back? That's where things get weird. 6 lines of completely untranslatable text, written in an unknown alphabet. For centuries, linguists have tried to crack it, Latin? No match. Ancient Greek? Doesn't fit. Slavic dialects? Also a dead end. Some believe it's a lost Pictish language, spoken by the mysterious people who once ruled northern Scotland. Others think it could be a blend of Roman or Greek influences, left behind by forgotten traders or settlers. But what does it actually say? A religious text? A dedication? A warning? No one knows. Until someone deciphers those 6 strange lines, the Newton stone remains one of Scotland's most puzzling relics. Number 11. The Golan structure. Some ancient structures are famous. Others sit in plain sight for millennia, ignored, until someone realizes they're actually incredible. That's exactly what happened in 1967 when aerial surveys over the Golan Heights revealed something astonishing. A giant circular monument hidden in the landscape. From the ground, it looks like an unremarkable pile of basalt rocks. But from above, it has 5 massive concentric rings, forming an ancient labyrinth with a central burial chamber. Archaeologists estimate it was built around 3500 BC, making it as old as Stonehenge. But unlike Stonehenge, no one knows who built it or why. The structure aligns with the solstices, suggesting it had astronomical significance. But with over 40,000 tons of stone meticulously arranged over centuries, it was clearly a major undertaking. Was it a temple? A celestial observatory? A lost civilization's forgotten masterpiece? With no inscriptions and no written records, its purpose remains an enduring mystery. What do you think? Let us know. Now let's move to Number 10. Judaculla Rock. Deep in the mountains of western North Carolina, a massive weathered boulder sits covered in strange, ancient carvings. The Cherokee have long told of Judaculla, a giant who could leap from mountain to mountain, his 7-fingered hand pressing into the rock as he landed. It sounds like folklore, until you see the markings for yourself. These aren't random scratches. They're deliberate, complex, and thousands of years old. Circles, symbols, and patterns etched into the stone, some so eroded they're barely visible today. The carvings predate the Cherokee, meaning the rock was sacred long before their legends formed around it. Some believe it's a map, a star chart, or even a message from a lost civilization. Others think it could be linked to ancient rituals. The truth? We have no written records, no clear explanation. Just a stone covered in markings that refuse to be forgotten. Whatever it meant, it mattered enough to last over 3,000 years. Number 9. The Skulls of Motala. Near the Swedish town of Motala, archaeologists unearthed something straight out of a horror movie. An 8,000-year-old burial site where human skulls were mounted on wooden stakes. Men, women, children, even infants, had been carefully arranged in what appeared to be a ritualistic display. Mixed in with them, animal bones, hinting at sacrificial offerings. But the real shock came in 2018. Analysis showed that many of the skulls weren't just impaled, they had fragments of other skulls inside them. Even stranger, almost every skull showed signs of repeated trauma, but with healed fractures. These people had survived serious head injuries before they died. Were they warriors, marked by battle, participants in a brutal initiation, or victims of a forgotten ritual? There's no precedent for this anywhere in history. It's an eerie, unexplained chapter from a time before written language, one that leaves us with more questions than answers. Number 8. The Jerusalem versus Beneath the streets of Jerusalem, hidden within an underground chamber carved from solid limestone, archaeologists discovered 3 deep V-shaped carvings. Perfectly symmetrical, each groove measures 50 centimeters long and 5 centimeters deep. No one knows why they're there, or who made them. Pottery shards found nearby suggest the chamber was in use until around 800 BC, but the carvings themselves? They could be far older. The chamber sits beside Jerusalem's only natural spring, a site of enormous strategic and religious significance. Even stranger, a nearby room contained a mysterious standing stone, possibly linked to an unknown pagan ritual, an extremely rare find in the region. The biggest clue, though, lies in a 100-year-old map drawn by a British explorer. It shows another V-shaped marking in a nearby tunnel, a tunnel that remains unexplored to this day. What's hiding beneath the ancient city? Until someone goes in, the mystery stays locked underground. Number 7. The Pit of Arms. A mass grave is always unsettling, but in Bergheim, France, archaeologists found something even more disturbing, a pit filled with severed human arms, buried beneath intact bodies. Dating back 7,000 years to the Neolithic period, this site is unlike anything ever discovered. The arms, mostly belonging to adults, were brutally cut off and discarded immediately after removal. But why? There's no record of a similar burial practice anywhere in ancient Europe. Some theorize the limbs were taken as trophies in battle. Others think it was a punishment, a display of dominance after a conflict. But if it was warfare, why were complete bodies buried neatly on top of the dismembered limbs? A ritual sacrifice? A mass execution? A warning to enemies? There are no written records, no clear clues, just a pile of arms buried under bodies, with no explanation as to what happened there over 7,000 years ago. Number 6. The Cursed Stolen Amethyst. Colonialism looted countless treasures, but one might have fought back. The Kanpur amethyst, stolen from a temple in India, is said to have brought disaster to every person who owned it. The first recorded owner fell into financial ruin. The next, he lost his family. Another took his own life, and the pattern kept repeating. Eventually, the gemstone ended up in the hands of Edward Heron Allen, a British writer and scientist. He was so convinced of its curse that he threw it into a canal, only for it to mysteriously return to him. Desperate, he had it sealed away, warning that it should never be touched again. Today, the amethyst sits locked in the Natural History Museum in London, inside a box with explicit instructions never to open it. Some dismiss the stories as coincidence. Others refuse to go near it, because whether the curse is real or not, no one wants to take the risk. Number 5. The Alaska Artifact. Back in 2011, archaeologists in Alaska weren't hunting for lost treasures. They were studying prehistoric climate change at a 1,000-year-old Inupiat settlement in Cape Espenberg. But what they unearthed was completely unexpected. A small, cast bronze object, shaped like a belt buckle, buried beneath the ice. The problem? Bronze wasn't worked anywhere in the region at the time. Even stranger, the artifact had a leather strap still attached, radiocarbon dating to around AD 600, centuries older than the house it was found in. So, where did it come from? The best guess is that it was crafted in East Asia, passed through ancient trade networks, and eventually made its way to Alaska, possibly as an heirloom or a valuable trade item. But why was it buried there? Was it a prized possession, a religious object, or just lost in the snow centuries ago? Nobody knows, but it's proof that ancient trade routes were far more complex. Number 4. The Jordan Wall. In 1948, a British diplomat was flying over Jordan when he spotted something odd. Stretching across the desert was a massive, 150-kilometer-long stone wall. That flyover turned into one of archaeology's longest-running mysteries. Known as Khat Shabib, this ancient wall is lined with 100 small towers and splits into multiple sections, yet no one knows who built it or why. A defensive structure? Unlikely. It's barely a meter high, which wouldn't keep out even the laziest invaders. But it does seem to divide farmland from open terrain, suggesting it may have separated farmers from nomadic herders. The real brain teaser? Dating this thing is almost impossible. Pottery fragments found near it range anywhere from 312 BC to AD 750, a gap of over 1,000 years. No civilization has ever claimed it. No records mention its construction, and its true purpose remains buried in time. Until we find more clues, Khat Shabib is a mystery. Number 3. Mystery coins. At first, no one thought twice. In 2016, archaeologists excavating Katsuren Castle in Okinawa, Japan, dug up 10 old coins, probably just leftover pocket change from U.S. soldiers stationed there. But when they cleaned them, things took a turn for the bizarre. These weren't modern coins. They were Roman, minted between AD 300 and 400, in a Japanese castle that wasn't built until 1,000 years later. Experts assumed it had to be a hoax. Why would the Roman currency be buried in medieval Japan? But detailed scans confirmed their authenticity. The bigger mystery? There's no known trade link between the Roman Empire and Japan. Roman merchants never made it that far east, and East Asian traders didn't use Roman money. So how did these coins get there? Were they passed down through centuries of obscure trade routes? Did they belong to a forgotten traveler? Well, the answer is simple. No one knows. But their presence just threw a wrench into everything we thought we knew about ancient commerce. Number 2. The Danish spirals. Metal detectorists usually dig up rusty junk, not buried treasure. But in Denmark, 2 lucky hobbyists stumbled upon something extraordinary: 4 massive gold rings. That alone was exciting enough to get archaeologists involved, but what they found next was even stranger. 2,000 tightly coiled gold spirals, each no thicker than a human hair and about an inch long. They weren't scattered randomly. They were carefully packed inside fur-lined wooden fragments, as if someone had stored them in an ornate box. Dating back to 700 to 900 BC, these spirals are a Bronze Age mystery. Some believe they were sacred offerings, buried as part of a ritual. Others suggest they were woven into royal clothing, possibly as decorative embroidery. But with no written records and nothing quite like them found elsewhere, their purpose remains unknown. One thing's for sure: whoever buried them wasn't just tossing away gold. This was a carefully placed treasure, lost to history until now. Number 1. The riddled jar. A shattered clay jar, reconstructed from 180 broken pieces, should have been just another museum relic. But this one? It's a riddle wrapped in pottery. The problem? The jar is full of holes, big ones, all over its body, plus a gaping hole at the bottom. It's completely useless for holding food, water, or even animals. So what was it for? That's the million-dollar question. The Museum of Ontario Archaeology brought in Roman pottery experts, hoping for answers, but even they had never seen anything like it. To make things weirder, no one knows where the jar even came from. Some believe it was dug up from a World War II bomb crater in London, where Roman settlements existed nearly 1,800 years ago. But it was found in the same storage room as artifacts from ancient Mesopotamia. So, is it Roman? Mesopotamian? Something else entirely? Until someone cracks the mystery, this jar is nothing but an ancient puzzle with no solution. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.